Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel, Designs by Dana. I am Dana, and today I'm going to be making a single page 12 by 12 scrapbook layout. And I plan to make this very monochromatic, and I'm only going to use cardstock in this layout. And my focus for today is going to be using the new Stampin' Up! 3D embossing folders. Now, I've never done a layout with the 3D embossing folders, and I've picked two of the embossing folders that I'm going to focus on today. And the first one is this gorgeous layered florals. Now, I'm going to try to angle this so you can get a nice view of that. Like I said, this is a 3D embossing folder, so this is new for me a little bit, because close to my heart, never had 3D embossing folders, and I had played around with some other company 3D embossing folders a little bit in the past, but it's new to probably me as a close to my heart maker and maybe some of our customer base. I'm gonna kind of hold this open, and you can really see the depth and dimension in these folders. And I'm so excited that I now have a product line that offers the 3D embossing folders. So this one is called the Embossed Brick, and I really like that texture. So this is going to be great, obviously, for cards, but I want to show you guys how you can incorporate these into a layout. Let me open this one up and see if that also offers some additional insight for you into the texture that this is going to have for all of your products, whether it's a card or a layout. So let me show you in the annual catalog where you can find these. So this is the current May 24 to April 25 annual catalog for Stampin' Up! And you will, excuse me, you will find these on page 129. So this is a little snapshot of the floral embossing folder, and it is called, the full title is the Layered Floral 3D embossing folder. And then right here we've got the Embossed Brick. So they give you just kind of a little tiny glimpse of what they look like, and they're kind of this gray tone. So you kind of have to use your imagination of what they're going to look in different colors. And there's so many things that you can do with these embossing folders. Then they show you some sample artwork over here. Here's a card, here's like a home decor item and some cards, but obviously in the Stampin' Up! Catalog, you don't see a lot of scrapbook themed art. So again, that's going to be my focus tonight. So let me pull in my photos that I want to put on this layout. I'm going to move these out of the way a little bit. So last month in May, my husband and I celebrated our 30-year wedding anniversary. So we decided to take advantage of a gift card that we had and go out to a very nice steak dinner restaurant. So we went to a place called the Capitol Grill, and it's in a little bit of an upscale area of Kansas City that we have. And these are pictures to commemorate our anniversary dinner. So the restaurant asked us when I made the reservation if we were celebrating a special event. So I told them it was our 30th anniversary. So when we arrived, they had this nice little card and a rose laid on the table for us with some confetti. You can see some here and some on the table. And the waiter instantly, when we sat down, he was like, let me just take your picture. So he knew we would want to have a picture taken and just offered that right off the bat. And then they also offered us a free commemorative dessert. I'm going to hold this up because I thought it was so cool. So it had two little mini desserts on it, and then they had happy anniversary, and that was stenciled onto the plate with chocolate. So we just thought that was so cool. So they really took great care of us at this restaurant. And it was just kind of a nice special event, something that we typically would not have normally done. So I wanted to scrapbook that. And there's a little bit of red in here, of course. I had on a really nice black blouse with a sweater, so lots of black. And I didn't want to bring in the blue because I didn't want it to look like it was a red, white, and blue type of a layout. So I'm going to go really monochromatic with mostly the red and the white, but I might pull in a little bit of black if I need to. So that's going to be my main layout design. This is kind of what I'm thinking with my photos, and mostly just the red and the white. So I'm going to get this out of the way, and then we'll kind of get started with pulling this together. I have somewhat of a vision, and we'll see kind of how it all pulls together. Okay, I brought in my Versamat here, and I've got my cardstock base down, and I wanted to show you that I did decide to gut out the center of this cardstock. And I think in my intro video, I kept calling this red. So this color I'm actually using is Cherry Cobbler from the Stampin' Up! Color palette. If you need to use a close to my heart color cardstock, this would equate to probably Scarlet on the close to my heart side. So either one of those colors would coordinate very well with this. Now, the reason I decided to gut this out is because I'm going to go ahead and use a piece of white cardstock down on top of that. And I'll show you why I decided to do that once I get my embossing pieces cut, and then I can lay on here, because I decided I really wanted the white on white elegant look with this. So let me bring in those embossing folders again and show you just a little bit about how these work, just in case you've never used these kind. I don't really think they're that much different than a regular embossing folder, but if you've never embossed before, I just wanted to walk you through that. So this is just my regular white cardstock. And what I like about these is they do have that Stampin' Up! Logo here with the line. So if you want to get your image perfectly straight, you can always use that line. But my paper is just a little bit bigger, so I'm going to have to bring it down. And I'm just going to line it up, you know, on that embossing folder and bring it down. Now, there's so many other techniques that you can use with the embossing folders, but I do want that white on white elegant look for this particular layout. But you can ink your folders, you can do a lot of different things with those. But remember, when you are using these folders, that the side that has the logo on it, the Stampin' Up! Logo, is going to be what ends up being the embossed side. And then the back side would be the debossed side. So that's where your creases will go down. So again, I'm just going to line this back up and close this one down. Move that over here and essentially do the same thing with this one. So I'm going to put my piece of paper in there. Even though these are very random patterns, they don't really need to be straight. I try to get them as straight as I can. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in, this is the mat that I have. I'm still using the Close to My Heart embossing and die cut machine. You can see my mat's pretty warped, but it still works very effectively. So with these two pieces, they're both about 6 by 6. I can line them both up and run them through my die cut machine together. So I'm going to run these through, and then we'll come back and see how they turn out. Okay, so we've run these through the embossing machine, and I want you to see just how beautiful this 3D folder looks. So it's a lot different than the regular embossing folders. You really get a lot more depth and dimension with these being popped up. So I love it. I'm so happy. This was one of the items with Close to My Heart that was on my wish list, is to have some 3D embossing folders. So I've got 2 done, and now I went ahead and did a couple extra. So this is my vision for this layout, is to have kind of a 4-quadrant page here. So again, this is one reason why I brought in this extra piece of white cardstock, because I wanted to have the white on white. And I was afraid that where my seam comes in, because this is 3D, it does kind of pop up or lift up here. Let me move this piece of white here and put this on to the cherry cobbler with that red showing through in the background. You can see that the seam isn't as transparent. So I didn't want to risk that and feel like I needed to put a border through my page. So I decided that it would probably be better to go more elegant and have that white on white look and not have to worry about feeling like I needed something there for my seams. So I think that looks a little bit better, and that way if there is any gap, the white would show through and it's not as noticeable. And I also thought that instead of bringing in any black cardstock, what I might do is come in with my journaling pen and just do a real fine, elegant line around this border to bring in just a little bit of black contrast. So I want these to line up just as closely and perfectly as I can get them. Now, I haven't tried this, but I'm going to give a caveat because these are 3D folders. Once they're embossed, especially this floral one, if you need to trim that down, I would highly recommend using a guillotine type cutter. This is my small Fiskars, or I have a large 12 by 12 or bigger one as well to cut this, because I think if you put this in your regular paper trimmer, the blade's going to get cut on all of these 3D pieces. So that would be my recommendation, so that you don't get that caught on your blade if you have to trim them down. I think I got these pretty trimmed down prior to embossing them, so this is my vision. So let's bring in my photos and lay them on here. So this is just kind of going to be my dry fit, of course, and then I'll lift everything up and lay it back down when I glue it down. But again, this is kind of really what I want. I want something to be very simple and elegant with this particular page. So I went through my stamps and I did find this stamp. It's called Happy Little Things. And it does have a little die cut in there as well. And I thought using the Celebrate one would be really cute. So I did pre-stamp this because I am on camera, and I figured inevitably I would probably mess up trying to line this up perfectly. But I do want to show you how I did it, just in case you wanted to see. So what's great about this stamp is it does have the, it's a double layer stamp. So it's got the outline of the word, and then it's got the solid word. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you a quick little demo of how to do that. But I don't expect this to turn out perfect, because it's really hard to get on top of this when you're on camera and not get my head and get everything in the way and still get it lined up perfectly. So I like to start with the outline stamp when I'm doing this type of stamping. So I'm going to ink that up and stamp it in the black ink first. And so this is just scrap paper, so that way if it doesn't turn out perfect, that's fine. It's no big deal. So there's my outline piece. And then I'm going to come in with the cherry cobbler, and I'm using my little Stampin' Spots for this. So I'm going to ink it up, and I did this in 2nd generation stamping because this Stampin' Spot is quite juicy. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp it off one time, and then I'm going to line this up, and they do line up really well. And like I said, I'm not expecting to get this perfect, but we'll see how it goes. So there you can see it's not perfectly lined up, but that's how these stamps work. So I wanted you to see how that works, and that's how I did this piece here. So that gives me my little celebrate there. And this one also has a little happiness piece. And what I did is I went to my die cuts, and I have this set that's from the Unbounded Love. I still need to create a label for it. My label maker ran out of labels. And I just love all of these little dies because they can be used for everything. And I cut out this one here and cut out a couple of them, this one. And I also pulled out some of the leaves just in case I wanted to add some extra little pieces for embellishment. So we'll see if I decide to use those. But I use these two here, and I'm going to use this one here for the happiness. And I think I'm going to go ahead and use that in the black. So I think I can go ahead and do this part on camera. So let's go ahead and line that up. Perfect. So that is going to come down here. So my thought is I would tuck this in here, and this will go either up under or maybe overlap a little bit. But then we've got the celebrate happiness. So that's gonna look good there. And then I cut out this piece here, and I found this stamp set. So all of these stamps, you know, were kind of, I think, intended for card making, but I found this that says "You Make Life Better," and I thought that was really appropriate. So I wanted to pull that one out and add that to this because it's just a perfect little piece for a anniversary page, right? So I'm going to do that one. And I don't need that little cushion because this is a rubber stamp and it's already got that built-in cushion. So that's kind of the difference between the polymer and the rubber. So, and I say rubber, I should say cling because that's a more appropriate term for these. And I'm going to put it more towards the top because what I'd like to do is use this to add some black here and tuck that in kind of like a little tag there at the top. So that is my plan there. We'll get these out of the way and get that ink out of the way. And then we'll take a look at that and then come back in and see what other embellishing we want to do with it. Okay, as I looked at this some more, I decided I really needed to pull in some more elements for my embellishing clusters. And I pulled in this stamp set called Magnolia Mood. I just got it in and I really love this flower, but it also comes with some gorgeous dies here. So I went ahead and cut some of the leaves and this die here, this one here, and I cut them out of a black ore paper. So I'll bring those in, and I wanted to show you this black paper before it's cut. So it's not quite as shiny as a glitter paper, but it does have a little bit of shimmer to it. I thought that might give this a little bit of kind of shine and some luster to it. So I'm going to just kind of pull these pieces in. This was the big flower that I cut, and I just thought that was really pretty. So I'm going to use that to fill up some of this empty space down here, I think, and kind of cover this up a little bit, but not too much. So I want most of that flower to be shown. So we're going to kind of layer this in and mess around with this a little bit. Get it exactly how I want it. And let's see, I cut some more leaves here. I thought I could kind of build this out a little bit more. I cut the smaller flower and thought I could tie that in up here at the top with some extra leaves to tuck under, like that. Bring in another leaf over here, fill in some of that blank space. And then with these extra leaves, I thought, you know, to kind of bring in that visual triangle effect, we'll just tuck a couple in over here, just so we've got that black kind of carrying through the layout. So that should wrap it up. I'm going to get those glued down. And I also brought in some of my stickles. I have the red, it's called Christmas red, but I think it will tie in close enough, and then the black. So I'm gonna glue these down and then decide if I think I wanna bring in some stickles as well and which color that I want to put down with that. So let me get this glued down and then we'll make the decision of adding any stickles or not. All right, I've glued everything down and I think this filled out this big white space quite nicely. And you can see that I did decide to bring in some of the black stickles just to add a finishing touch to the rest of the layout. So I'm gonna hold this up a little bit. And one of the things that I did and I didn't mention is I brought in a black marker and I just edged out some of these white pieces so they would stand out a little bit more. So hopefully you can see that on camera. I popped up this flower and this little piece here, and you can see I edged that out in black as well. And I added my little lines here, kind of made this piece stand out a little bit more. So I think those little tiny touches really help kind of pull all of that together a little bit. So I really like how the floral embossing folder, and then you've got the brick, I felt like it kind of gave it that feminine touch and the masculine touch to kind of give it a nice balance to the layout here. And the monochromatic is kind of a nice, elegant piece as well to, you know, commemorate an anniversary theme. And the black just kind of gives it that extra pop. So I really hope that you enjoy that. And if so, you know, please hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I do invite you to do that as well. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you've enjoyed these embossing tips. And we almost made it through the video without my little guest presenter here. And so thank you for joining and have a great day. And we will be back next week with another video with some other tips and tricks for you. Have a wonderful afternoon. Bye.